So welcome everyone to the 27th Annual Pistahan Parade and Festival. My name is Raf Ignacio. I'm the founder of Filipino Food Crawl. I'm very passionate about promoting Filipino cuisine, and I have done this through hosting Filipino food tours here in New York City. As far as I know, this is the first and only Filipino food tour in the States. I've had about 500 guests on my tour, and the tour has been featured on online publications such as Buzzfeed and Food Insider. I'm also one of the newest members of the board of the Filipino Food Movement. And Filipino Food Movement is curating the culinary pavilion for Pistahan this year. We have the very distinct pleasure of having a conversation with Mr. Jovy Tuaño, Executive Director of Filfood. So Jovy, thank you so much for jumping on this call. I know it's very early there right now, but I'm very excited to have a chat with you.
Oh, thank you very much, Raf. And I would like to thank also Sonia Delan, of the president of the Filipino Food Movement, for really making this happen.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so Jovi, as I mentioned in my intro, I do, I guess, something similar to what you're doing. You're promoting Filipino cuisine. I'm promoting it at a very small scale on a food tour, and you're doing it at a much, much larger scale. So I'm very excited to have this conversation. But I guess before we kind of like jump in, I just want to give like a background. I want you to give a background of what Filfoods does.
Oh, FilFood is a food innovation program. Okay, this is to help develop the Filipino food and beverage industry in this part of the world. And the mission of FilFood is to drive the wider acceptance of Filipino food among, especially through by providing nutritious food, nutritious products to actually the not only to Filipinos but also to the predominantly expatriate population in the UAE, with coming from 200 countries. So it's a very good, really, as I said, melting pot for any initiative, especially when introducing new products. Yeah. So we have a very multicultural profile of consumers here with different, really, countries of origin. So we strive to really align ourselves with the existing programs of the local government in terms of food security, in terms of really having sustainable programs, and also with our Department of Trade, SITEM. So there's a lot of things that has been done, and for so many years, I've been attending the Gulf Food, which is the annual or the biggest food trade event in the Middle East. I mean, I feel so sorry seeing a lot of Filipino premium products, like these mushroom chicharron, and you have really premium chocolates and very, very high quality products from the Philippines, which doesn't reach the supermarket. Until today, I mean, we are still seeing a lot of the usual snack foods that are really not at the doesn't have so much value to it.
I see. I was looking through your website, and I was looking through your company, group profile, and I could see that you've had like hosted so many different events, so many different campaigns. For you, like what would you say are the most major milestones that Filfood has achieved so far?
Well, first I would like to clarify that we are not an events company. I should say I would like to describe ourselves as I said, and it's an innovation program. Filfood is a brand, and we could have like organize a non-profit organization or an association of people in the food industry to work together. But unfortunately, it's not that easy to put up a non-profit organization. I explained it to Sonia in the UAE. In fact, it's because they have a lot of laws against, not really against, but But of course, the country is in favor of associations, but there are a lot of requirements to make sure that these kind of organizations or associations are not used for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So that's why to just kick it off quickly with less people involved, we started it under my company, which I have established um, uh, in 2004. Asia Gulf Trading LLC is 100% Filipino owned by my family, and we put up a division. So we were we were already in the food trading business. We were in the restaurant business. So maybe it's time for us to open a separate division because nobody really it's hard to find a company or a division dedicated just for Filipino food innovation. So so far our milestones have been. I mean, it's a what we did to be able to measure or measure our milestone is to adapt the way the popular Netflix come up with different seasons and episodes. So we had season 1, season 2 last year. Basically, we just started last year. I was walking with a friend in a park, Dennis Castro, and we just about. I think it's about time that we put everybody together because for so many years as well, for 15 years, I've been very active, and I was one of the co-founders of the Philippine Business Council in the UAE, Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And it was our mission, not only into food, but to really, really, what do you call this, encourage entrepreneurship. I mean, to change the stereotype of OFWs. Of course, there's nothing wrong with being a worker. We have very high regards to them. I was once one of them, and until I put up my own company. So the only way to stop the cycle of working abroad is basically to create industries and organizations and companies and organizations where Filipinos can really migrate to. Okay, the way the Chinese, moved to Chinatown way back in the U.S. or in the Philippines. So families grew out of a specific industry that revolves around them, and they become part of the value chain. So one of our milestones, of course, is we have done a series of 3. That's first, second, and third conference. In fact, we did two Filipino food industry conference last year in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and this year we did it in Northern Emirates in March, just when the COVID was really taken seriously and the government started canceling events. So we had the last event actually.
Oh, nice. Okay.
One of the last events in the country that was imagined March 5, March 3 to 5. So when schools were already canceled, in fact, some of our speakers were not able to attend anymore. But that was the last one with the Emirates Culinary Guild. So at least that last stretch was our debut, as they call it, in the hospitality industry. I mean, it was the first time we participated in an event that was organized by the Emirates Culinary Guild, which was the Expo Culinaire. So this is the one, if I can show it.
Wow.
Yeah, so Expo Culinaire. Yeah, so imagine for the first time we were given a space and we were able to showcase our Filipino products in front of the World's Association of Chef Societies. So, and so I believe this is one of the major milestones, and we Filipino chefs were very proud and to be associated with Filfood, and we even talked about, I think you have been to many. I don't know if you have seen a lot of international competitions, but hardly you have a category for Filipino food.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we were talking about having a separate category in collaboration with Field Food. But of course, it was
Wow.
still all talks. I mean, we still need to put it in writing to have a special category. Because unless we are defined as a category in the culinary world, we will never make it.
Yeah, and I think
Because we have to be classified. If you are not classified, you know what I
right,
mean? Like, so we're just one of those ethnic specialty food. Okay?
there has to be
So
like to be categorized as a yeah to become a category
like
is
Italian cuisine, you have
right,
the
right,
Mediterranean cuisine, you know. So
right.
so we are not categorized. We are not recognized by the world chefs as a category of cuisine.
But then by
That is
being
the reality that we have to face.
right, but we yeah, this is a chance for us to I guess put Filipino food on the map, so to speak. And this is very
Exactly.
exciting.
So we can do it on one side because you know the food industry is very broad. You know that's why in
Right,
the conference we invited people from hospitality. We also got people from the trade, people who are importing products, the suppliers, you know the supply chain, and the restaurant owners. So it's a combination of even marketing people. You know, so and then of course that was followed by the a month-long Filipino Food Festival. I think it's very similar to one of the things that Filipino food movement has been doing in the U.S. in the past. So it's basically uh, uh, because I don't believe in a one-off event. You know, it has to be something very you know that
sustained.
has some traction.
Right,
So we did a 1 month long festival. So this is when we also launched the official Filipino food guide.
oh
We have
wow,
given to some concierge in the hotels and at the Philippine embassy. So at least there's a guide where to eat. This is still like a first edition. It can be improved a lot. So we of course we highlighted the
Filipino
ingredients, the suppliers of like Malagos chocolate, Sarangani Bay, Bangus, Doña Maria Rice, and you know, and we have also, but they are basically, I don't call them sponsors, we call them brand partners because we just don't want their money, we want them to be involved, okay? And then like, so we have Max's,
oh,
if
that's
you see, we
amazing.
have Max's. So among others, we just participated, it started with a conference because I believe if you don't educate, we don't explain the mission and objective of Phil Food, a festival would not work. It will just be like one of those marketing promotional events.
Right, right,
So we told them that we're from the conference, we're going to do a festival because it's a way for us to collaborate and to be able to understand and attract not only Filipinos, because actually the Filipino customers are not, it's not a, I mean, it's not the challenge there. I mean, we all know our food. We don't have to
yeah.
tell
We
to
already want
a
them to
Filipino that to eat our food, right?
right, right,
So the whole idea there, if we are, uh, if we think like on an industry level, we are talking about uh, finding a market for our export market for our to have better agriculture, improve our agriculture quality. So that's really how it goes. So
do
and then we after the month-long festival, which of course it was launched with the support of our ambassador, who is very supportive in Phil Food. Uh, he's our ambassador, the UAE, the Philippine ambassador to the UAE, Jayceline Quintana.
yes,
We really thank her for supporting Phil Food from the very beginning. And she is our partner in progress. And we before the diplomatic reception started in June 12, 2019, she allowed time for the press to. So instead of just the government spending money and paying the hotel, outright, a hotel who normally doesn't even understand our cuisine. So he asked Philippine Food to curate. So basically, we started curating. Okay, so the menu. So we sat down with the chef, with the executive chef of the hotel, who is not a Filipino, who does not know anything about Filipino food, who does not even have proper Filipino chefs. So we have to provide volunteer chefs, okay, from our culinary team. That's what Food is about. We have a team of chefs who are also working in other hotels, other restaurants. So they volunteer with the permission of their employers to help out in these, it's basically like a country event. And so, and then and then the next problem was, where do we get the ingredients? So I have to recommend to them, I have to talk to the procurement of the hotel, where they're gonna get it. I have to talk to the importer and distributor. Hey guys, deliver this. So it's a process, and we have to make sure that the right ingredients go to the right recipe.
Right.
And
so
then
like Food was orchestrating the entire event.
Yes. So basically,
all the way to sourcing the actual ingredients. That's amazing.
Yeah. I have to personally bring the boxes of pineapples and calamansi. So the guests were so amazed with the calamansi, the foreign guests. And so we even set up in the hotel, the way it's going to be arranged, the banqueting, and the food stations, because aside from the hotel catering, because of course you have to pay the hotel for their food and the venue. And in addition, they agreed to allow restaurants to have a kiosk. So we use the existing kiosk of the hotel, and we have tables. So we brought in our restaurant partners. And for the first time, because we just don't want restaurants to donate food or just dump whatever they want. No,
right.
I have to sit down with each chef. Our team has to talk to each restaurant, each chef, on how they're going to portion, to prepare, what ingredients they're going to use, not too sweet, not too salty. Yeah. So it has to be palatable to the international guest.
Yeah, Jovy, I actually want to, you mentioned something which really struck me earlier, that there's a very large education component in introducing the food, because we've already won the Filipino audience, and the challenge really is to get non-Filipinos to appreciate, or to taste and appreciate our cuisine. So I'd like to use this, that point you raised as a jumping point for, my next question, which is, how has the uptake been? I know you mentioned that you've created a lot of these efforts to promote, but how has it been so far? How has the uptake been?
I mean, the restaurants started to change the way they, even before the pandemic, they started changing the way they present the food. Okay, they started adjusting the portions. You know how it is, I mean, our food is usually designed for sharing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Way back, when we have big family, we have a big family. Now people, either they're single or only a couple or one child. So portion, and people are so like,
conscious.
Are already, they're very health conscious now. So they started adjusting the way they present the food. And there's a lot of innovation that has been done. Even the international brands are locked into their menu. Like, of course, you have Jollibee, Teriyaki Boy. So they started really serving food that is, tapping the international customers. Because I told them we have to take the blue ocean strategy, where we have to tap the non-customers. Because what happened is, if you compete in the space of the same 700,000 Filipinos in the UAE, so we Filipinos will just jump from one restaurant to the other, and everybody will compete on pricing. Everybody wants to copy the other, and they just kill each other with pricing, and everybody, and you will have 50% casualty.
Yeah.
So in our conference, we talked about it, that you should not look at each other as competitors, and that's it. And it's a way forward. Yeah.
That's amazing. Um, I'm curious as to like which products or brands have really taken off in Dubai. I mean, in the Gulf, in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Because I mean, here in the States, I'm more familiar, but I'm wondering if it's the same brands or if it's slightly different. Yeah, if you could just tell us a little bit more about which types of products have taken off.
So let's divide it into two: the food service, restaurants, and the retail. So which one do you want me to know? The retail
Yeah,
product or the
yeah.
or
Let's
the or the restaurant brands?
yeah. Let's start with the food service.
Okay. Yes, of course. Max's really has become very popular, and thanks to Chef Henry, one of our Philfood culinary team members, Chef Henry uh, Suarez. So he really made a lot of innovation in Max's. Even the Halo Halo, he started introducing the dry ice, where you have this when it's served, it's really like um, giving that effect of dry ice. And Max's, you have one, and then you have the teriyaki boy.
Oh, okay.
Although it's a Japanese concept, so what we did in Philfood is we categorized in terms of whether it is basically like Jollibee, for example, is an American concept, because burgers are really American, right? And it's fried chicken. And then you have Pan Asian, of course, teriyaki boy falls into that place.
Yeah.
And then Max's falls under classic Filipino dishes. And of course, you have Pancake House, yeah. So
Yeah.
of course, pancake is a Western pancake. They serve, let's say, the smoked tinapa, the bangus.
May daing
Yeah, and
din.
teriyaki, yeah.
Yeah.
And teriyaki boys serve tapa, and they have these ube shakes, and so they have uh, adjusted their menu because as franchisees they also have some. I think they have these part of the agreement that they can customize also to the local market.
Oh, okay. Amazing. Amazing. How about
That's what I mentioned, only the global Filipino brands.
Mhm.
Okay, but there are homegrown brand like now you have, let's say, Off the Hook. How do you define Off the Hook? Off the Hook is a seafood place. It's 100% owned by a Filipino. Okay, and with Filipino staff, Filipino talents, but the concept is New Orleans. This seafood in the
Yeah,
bucket
yeah,
kind of
Cajun,
thing.
Cajun
Yeah,
style.
Cajun, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
Creole.
exactly. So how do you define that? Okay, so and they may or they may not use Filipino ingredients, but because they carry the flag and they're very supportive with Feel Food, then they're one of our partners. On the other side, there are Filipino brands like Jollibee and Chowking, which are not actually owned by Filipinos franchises,
Mhm.
or they are homegrown brands of Filipino restaurants. Let's say there's Hot Palayok. It's homegrown Filipino restaurant, but it's not owned by a Filipino. Okay?
Mhm.
And there is a Pampangueño, which is 100% Filipino uh, owned and a Filipino brand. So when you talk about the industry, you cannot shut your doors. I mean, you have to open because at the end of the day, everybody orders jasmine rice. And until that time where we could really import jasmine rice from the Philippines, then we are not taking advantage of this supply chain at the moment.
Right. So yeah, I like how you made the distinction between Filipino owned, but then they're pursuing a non-Filipino concept, and also the other way around, like non-Filipino owned but into the Filipino, like pursuing a Filipino concept. But in the end, like everybody just helps each other out because
Yes.
it's
You know, Raf, before I was advocating like, oh, Filipino restaurants should be owned by Filipinos. I was really one of those very patriotic advocates. And then as I studied the industry well, and in fact, some of my colleagues now criticize, oh, why is Jovy working with non-Filipino restaurants? I mean, like, then I realized, okay, when we go back to the Philippines, go back to Manila, Makati, for example, okay, how many can we question can the Koreans in the Philippines question a Filipino owner of a Korean restaurant?
right. Yeah.
Do Filipinos don't have the right to operate a Korean restaurant in any
Exactly. Yeah.
country, even probably in the US, right? And so I think we have become global, and we have to think global as well. It's right.
Right. No, and I mean, at least the way I see it, it's like the more players that you have in the space, it's not so much as seeing them as competition, but more of collaborators because, you know, we can share some of the strategies that they've done so that they can grow their business. And that's something that you can also learn from. And I think what Phil Food is doing is being that platform where all these players can meet and synergize and create more value for each other, and then ultimately grow the industry beyond, you know, the traditional concept of Filipino owned, therefore Filipino food. And you know, it's that's a very small way of thinking of it. But then, as you mentioned, we really have to be more global to be more open to these new concepts, which I think is
Especially in the US, you already have Americans there. I mean, Filipinos are already Americans, so you know it really doesn't matter.
exactly. How I'm just curious, like when it comes to, let's say, chefs. I know you're working, or you work very very closely with Chef John Buenaventura, and I think he was interviewed by Filipino Food Movement very recently. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about Chef John, and who are the other up and coming like Filipino chefs in the area.
Well, Chef John, I knew him. Of course, we were together in thanks to Ilustrado, Ilustrado magazine. I don't know if you have got a copy, but of course you can go online, Ilustrado Live.
Mhm.
They have every year they have this. They launch the 100 most influential Filipinos in the Gulf, and in 2020, they launched the like early this year before the pandemic. They were able to successfully launch the uh, Ilustrado 300, the
Okay.
most influential Filipino group, and Chef John and yours truly and my family and many other successful Filipinos in different fields of interest, very recognized by Ilustrado, and which is published by uh, Lalaine Benitez
Mhm.
and Juan Benitez. So they have really uplifted a lot of Filipinos, and it is a part of the world. And talking about, so that's where and then that's where I met Chef John, because we had occasions where we uh, we celebrated these Ilustrado in his restaurant, which is already, of course, it was a restaurant, and he is basically an entrepreneur himself.
Okay.
So he has taken the plunge like me. You know, most of the people, they come here to work, and I should say 95% or maybe 100% come here to work, and for an employer, and taking the challenge to um, uh, be on your own, okay, with other investors. So he did that. So because people can always talk about business or food and any special field of interest, but putting your skin in the game is another thing.
Right.
Being an entrepreneur, you don't only use other people's money, but you also use your own money
Right.
and
Mhm.
your own time, your reputation. So this is, you sacrifice it because you don't know, anything could happen. And so I should say he's still successful, even if the restaurant has closed down already because of rising rent. Before that was 2 years back. The rent in the, because his hotel is pioneering restaurant. In fact, it was supposed to take Filipino food to, I should say, if we gauge it from 1 to 10, and 10 as the highest. Okay, we are today. I mean, like 5 years back, Filipino food in this region, I should say, was in level 2 or 3. So the objective is full food, and I'm sure Filipino food movement as well is to take it to level 10, the way Mediterranean food, Italian food, and Japanese food is respected around the world, right? So yes, exactly, regardless of nationality. So what happened is Chef John, one of his greatest achievements was through Cocinero Uno and with other investors. And I would like to thank his other investors for supporting him. And they have taken it to, I should say, level 6 or 7. Imagine like high quality casual dining, and with beverage. It was a restaurant license with alcohol, and even you know, popular people like chefs and Michelin star chef visited him. So even you know, a member of the royal family visited his place. So it was very popular, and we were so proud because you know, you can have the sisig, you can really try some Filipino food in a different way. I should say in a more contemporary way of experience. Yeah. So and he has supported the Field Food program along with other chefs from the start, even from the launching of our Field Food Fest last year. And he really specialized on paella, you know, and maybe I should send you some photos where we have this huge paella nera. Yeah. And that's what we did. And I should say he has become a model of other chefs in terms of really rising up, okay, to the level of other international chefs from different countries. So
and really raising the flag, I guess, you know, being
yes, and I've been telling him. I mean, sometimes you become people think that you are so proud of yourself, or you become too full of yourself, or people might think you know how it is, you know, when people try to really stand out, and some feel that they are weaker than the other, and they feel, some feel challenged, but some feel like alienated, you know. So it really depends on the person, but I believe that it's about time that chefs should have the same level of self-confidence, believing in themselves, regardless of where they are. So now he has been appointed, in fact, during these difficult times, he has even been appointed to by Hilton as one of the executive chefs in their newest property in Yaza Island. And he told me that it's going to be one of the biggest properties of Hilton in the world.
Wow.
And headed by a Filipino chef. I think that's a achievement.
Oh yeah.
Of course, and aside from him, there's a pastry chef Roderick in Ampas. I mean, he is very good in pastries as well. So now he's trying to work on our Filipino desserts, improving it the way it's going to be presented. And we have Chef Andrew. If you allow me to mention the other chefs,
yeah.
We have Chef Andrew Paderes, who used to work with Nobu in UK, you know, and so he specialized on international cuisine and Japanese cuisine. So, and now he's helping. He's in Dubai helping a Filipino restaurateur was having, you know, trying to recover from the pandemic. So he's now working on that. And of course, we have, so aside from the hotels, we have somebody from, have you heard of Dark Kitchen?
No, I haven't. What is
No,
it?
no, it's a global trend. I think it's already happening there, but of course, in UK, you have Deliveroo, and it has expanded around the world, and they operate Dark Kitchen. But of course, Roberto Fortuno, it doesn't work for Deliveroo. He works in one of the another company called Kitopi, doing like a dark kitchen. These are like kitchens that support restaurants.
Okay.
Because if you notice, it's so annoying. You're dining in a restaurant and you see a lot of I mean, with due respect to the drivers, I hats up to them. They work really hard. But you cannot have takeaway drivers coming in front of the restaurant every time.
Right.
Sometimes you feel like, are they being more prioritized than me dining in?
Uh-huh.
So to remove that, the restaurants now have a contract with dark kitchens or central kitchens away hidden. Dark means cannot be seen by customers. So it's the same menu recipes are being done in other kitchen.
I
So
see.
all when you call, it's being delivered out of that kitchen.
Instead of the actual restaurant. Okay, that's a pretty
Yes, because it really it's operationally, it's really messed up, especially this time, everybody wants to order. So it's really doing well. And Roberto Fortuno is handling basically in charge of more than 10 brands. And it's a very good exercise because his experience can be used in developing our Filipino products and how to make sure that it gets to the homes of people. So, and of course, there's one who is also a very good chef, Chef Antonio Lopez. He's in Abu Dhabi working with Park Montana. And so they are, of course, Edward Dinoso, who is specialized in, he's the branch chef of La Carne, who is specialized on meat. He's apparently, though in Filipino cuisine, there is not much emphasis on the protein side. If you notice, it's always the flavor, the lahok. But in terms of quality of the pork, the quality of the beef, the poultry, the chicken, there's not much emphasis on that. So that's why we have a chef who really specializes on okay. So I hope I have. Of course, there are so many talents out there. Some are just hiding in the kitchen. Some are not allowed to talk to customers, and they are. And this is how Philfood comes into the picture. We become like a, a how they call it. You become like a big brother. I don't know how you call it. Like in terms in need, they call me in times of their frustration, or they have new challenges. They consult me, and I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert in food, but my role is basically to integrate the different players in the industry.
That's great. Philfood has had so many achievements. You've talked about things that you've done in different avenues to support the industry. This is mostly in the Middle East and the Gulf. But I'm curious to know, like, how do you see yourself supporting the global Filipino food movement beyond where you are physically? I'm wondering what role you would like to play in the global Filipino food movement.
3 words: food ecosystem integrator.
Wow.
So so FEI. So basically, it's balancing the front end, the end user side, or the promotional campaigns, balancing it with a sustainable value chain at the back. Right. So there has to be a balance. You cannot over promote and your value chain is weak. This is the problem of BTI. I've spoken to some of their officers. They go out, hey, this year, let's promote this product. Let's promote killing nuts. Once there's a demand, then there's a problem with supply. So it's a continuous, it's supposed to be a cycle. We cannot address the issue on the Filipino food industry only on a one segment or one sector,
Yeah.
because like the ingredients all come from the Philippines. Whether it goes to Middle East, like from from the century tuna to the Sarangani bangus, or the mamacita, or pure foods for that matter, they all go to North America, Europe, and Middle East, right?
Right.
So there has to be we go to the extent of communicating with exporters. And because of that effort, during this pandemic, I got a call from San Miguel Foods, and, oh, Jovi, can you help us? We have some inventories, raw materials stuck in the warehouse, and we need to move it because it's going to eventually get expired.
Mhm.
So, through that relationship that we had, because of their awareness that there's such thing as field food, that they have someone to call, and we were able to move. In a matter of 2 weeks, I was able to move it, sell it to another manufacturer, like 10 tons. I couldn't believe it myself that I was able to do it in pandemic when, there's no, people are not supposed to be doing business, right? And
So,
I was able to sell it cash. Yeah.
so in
So
a sense, it's like you have your ears on the ground, and you serve as a guide, or a companion for all these partners in the supply chain, to make sure that everything moves smoothly, and to troubleshoot, and also to give them local insights as to how to succeed in the
yeah,
market. Yeah.
yeah, like these recently, remember these OWA or Polo office, and for some reasons there was an issue on how it was distributed. But of course, it did go through Philfood, okay?
Mhm.
But when a problem came up, what happened, because some people didn't receive. So I gave a call to the supplier, distributor. He told me the real story behind. So, but had it been coordinated through us, it would have been easier for us to find a way to make it more easy also for people to access it. So there are many things that, like Mamacita, for example, they want to help the community. We gladly collaborated with them, and we helped in the distribution of the product that they want to donate. Because it's not only a matter of like giving away something, it has to be used for the right purpose. Like, you cannot just give away an oyster sauce, for example. You
Right.
can't drink oyster sauce, right? So you have to you can't eat oyster sauce. So you have to match it. You have to work with other people to be able to convert that into a food that you could donate to the
Right.
public.
Right.
And again, there's an issue on donation, because the government here is very strict in donation. You cannot just donate just because you want to donate.
Oh,
You
okay.
have to donate properly. You have to donate really, food that are really safe for consumption.
You highlighted that we should have like a holistic view of the industry. It's not just towards the promotion on the, I guess, on the delivery side, to the consumer, but also looking at this entire supply chain, and making sure that every phase or every step in the process is well supported, because that's how we're going to make it sustainable.
Yeah,
Um,
because Raf, if you notice, Raf, I know our government has done so much, okay? But the thing is, because of our bureaucratic system of government, okay? So if you notice, even in the US, DTI will do their own thing, okay? Then the Department of Agriculture have their own budget, they have their own plans, they do their own thing. And then you have what do you call this? The OT, they want to promote
yeah,
culinary tourism, they do their own thing through the Tourism Promotion Board. And you have, of course, our embassies through DFA, they want to do a culinary thing. So what happened, I saw that, as I said, I don't have to be an expert. I don't have to do the same thing which they are doing. Okay, people are good at. I mean, Filipinos, from government to private sector, there's a lot of people. There's no short of talents, ideas, and products. The only problem is just it's not integrated. It's just sabog. Everybody's doing their own program. They duplicate, they compete, they fight, they until it becomes political. And I feel so sorry. I mean, at the end of the day, who makes money? in the value chain. Not us.
Yeah.
It's other people, not Filipinos.
Yeah.
Okay, not even Filipino Americans, maybe other people along the line, because we're fighting, we're competing with each other. Then other people make money along the value chain.
I empathize because I used to work in government as well. So I know that you're right. I think there's no shortage of talent, no shortage of good ideas, but really the integration, becomes challenging. And you mentioned politics. Yes, there really has to be continuation also from like one secretary's plans have to be a continuation of a previous plan instead of changing the plan all over again and starting from zero. So
Yes, because now, Raf, I now advocate it's not enough to be an entrepreneur anymore. I'm on the small business MSME entrepreneurship journey. Now, whether you are a professional or a business person, Filipinos have to think industrial now. Why? Because only when you think industrial, you become a job creator, you create jobs. Because the demand now actually is a job creator.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people who don't have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So you should not be part of them. It's either you want to be part of these people who don't have jobs, or you want to be part of the people who will create jobs for these people.
Exactly.
So that brings me to the ultimate goal that I would like to do in this last quarter of 2020 and in the next 2 years. So we're setting up an office in Manila. I'm creating now a food industry recovery team. Okay, because now what the country needs is recovery. Okay, we need to be able to integrate and work on agro-tourism, for example, because tourism is really down. So the only way is there has to be a combination.
Yeah.
So of, let's say, agro-tourism, it's not only enough to bring them to the restaurants. We have to bring people to the farms and show them how bangus is being raised. Okay, and then we need to bring them to the to Davao to show them how pineapples are planted, and how the fibers of this pineapple are converted into fibers and textiles. So this is the way tourism should go, and it's a big area out there, so social distance is not an issue. You can live in that's far away, 1 hectare away from each other. I already have a Norwegian engineer on board. I have an Australian food industry specialist on board. So we will combine this with local Filipino talents. And really, I look forward to working with NGOs like Philippine Food Movement, Asia Society, and even the Philippine Business for Social Progress. I think this is what the country really needs in the next 8 months or 12 months, or maybe in 3 years' time.
That's an amazing contribution, especially because it's very targeted, and you're really trying to identify, what the Filipino needs, and you're creating, pushing effort into that space. For you, Jovy, what advice would you give to the normal person who wants to support the Filipino food industry? If you could just give that person one advice, that you can do this to be able to support the industry, what would that be?
Have a deeper understanding of every Filipino ingredient. Okay? Because it's, of course, everybody knows already about the different recipes that we have, but the ingredients, the components of the food, okay, that gets into the cuisine is very important. Why? Because one of the reasons, I should say, that our food has not really progressed, in terms of getting into the mainstream, is the lack of knowledge of even me. I don't know everything about the Filipino food. That's why I'm doing this, because I also want to learn from the different players. I learn every day. I'm still learning what ube is all about. Where calamansi. Just the other day, okay, I did a research of calamansi. So apparently it's grown in the Mindoro area, and like 51, a majority of the plantations. And there's been projects being done by DOST. So it's very important for us to understand the DNA of our products. Why? If you notice, I mean, I've attended a lot of events, whatever, social gathering or of course before the pandemic, not now, because we have a fine of doing gathering socially. All my life, whether it's private, public, two people or a family or a group, you hardly get into a conversation between Filipinos about the ingredient of the food that we eat. It's always, maybe it's a cultural thing that we, for us, it's very ordinary.
Right, yeah.
And when we were small, when we probably asked, oh, what is this banana? Probably people will laugh at you, even your sisters and brothers, why are you asking this question? So it's always embarrassing to be asking. You think it's a very stupid question to ask, what is this malunggay all about? Okay, so, or maybe we don't want to insult the host. Let's say we are invited into a party. So what do generally what do Filipinos say? Everywhere they go to a restaurant, how do you find the food, sir? Masarap ba? Opo, masarap. All we can say is just masarap, even if it's not, because we don't want to insult the other person. It's a cultural thing. It's always masarap. So we are very superficial in terms of appreciation of food. So how do we expect other people to understand our food if we ourselves cannot even talk about it? We are not conversant. Walk into any Filipino restaurant, ask the waitress, ask the waiter. Maybe you can ask one or two questions they can answer like scripted answer. But you ask them, okay, saan ba galing to? Is this grass-fed? Ano bang pinakain itong bangus na to?
Yeah.
They want, let me ask the chef. And the chef doesn't even know as well because we don't talk about it.
Right, yeah.
Unlike Italians and French, oh my God, you talk about
you go on and
Italian,
on.
the tomato alone. They will talk, oh, you should use San Marzano tomato to have the perfect pizza.
Right. No, I agree. Actually, if
they will kill you. They will fight over an olive. The Spanish will fight with you. The olive. The Greek will fight over feta.
Yeah.
Really, what is the real feta? Oh, it's ours. No, so they have sense of ownership of their food, and so we don't care about what cut of meat is being put into the caldereta. We just want basta masarap, basta lasang caldereta. That's why until today, most of the shelves in the groceries and the supermarkets are still all this packet seasoning and condiments. It's instant, everything is instant. Because we just want flavors. As long as the flavor is there, it's barbecue cheapy, then it's barbecue, it's barbecue.
Right. So it's really having that deeper sense of appreciation of what goes in the food, not just how it tastes, but also the ingredients or how the food was made is equally important. Actually,
but thanks to the pandemic, sorry, Raf, I might interrupt. Thanks to the pandemic, okay? So if you see everybody now cooking, understanding the food, now they talk about it. You see, so this is really, I should say, not only life-changing but industry-changing. So that's why I'm very excited to go to the Philippines, set up an office there, keep the network in the Middle East going. So Philfood's still running here, and you have Filipino food movement in the US going on. We have somebody in Europe starting it out. So, and we have to connect this from both end to end.
No, definitely. I mean, we should keep the conversation going and, make sure that our plans are aligned. And when there are opportunities to collaborate, we should really support each other because we're all in the same space. So if I may share, kwento ko lang, when I was in my last trip to the Philippines, I met somebody from the company Sarangani Bay. He was telling me all about their bangus. How
was that?
Gabi Alcantara. So he was telling me about how the bangus, is cultivated, what are the different steps, how much they export and all these things. And it's only after he told me about it that I started to appreciate the bangus even more. And it's so commonplace to eat daing here in the States. I mean, you get it to any Filipino grocery. But after hearing the stories, wow, it became elevated, and I became more excited to enjoy the food. And
especially if you know that it's coming from the waters of Mindanao.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, you have a Guinness?
Yeah, this is one of our milestone. So we got this so we got this in December 2019,
Oh, very
and
recent.
we represented the Philippines. It was the most number of desserts from around the world. So it was about
How many?
over 10,000 portions of desserts, and
10,000 portions of dessert?
yeah, 50 countries. This was about 50 countries, and each country have to present 50 unique desserts,
Wow.
Filipino desserts, for example. So Chef Roderick Hinampas really was our team leader, and we got it. So, and I shared this award to the team, and one of them was also we call her the Queen of Abu Dhabi. She is what do you call this? Chef Veron Vergara, and overnight she became really popular even in her home province, and so we should. This is the level that we want to take Filipino food. We should join more, get into this recognition by Guinness, by world organizations,
And really put Filipino food on the map, so to speak, as we talked about earlier.
Filipinos ourselves, we have to really be able to explain and understand. Understand first before we are able to explain. Because what happened is we don't have homogeneity. In fact, to one of your questions, I hope I can still answer it. Where what is the challenges? Okay, we don't have homogeneity in terms of products. We always believe, like if we talk about the recipe, even you're invited in somebody's house. Okay, of course, as a courtesy, you always say thank you, ang sarap. But at the back of the mind of people, you will always think like, oh, my mother's cooking is better, my sister can do better than this. Everybody can have a different version of the same kind of dish.
Right, yeah.
Okay, and of course, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just we just have to understand why. I'm not saying that it's bad.
Yeah.
But of course, we are an archipelago. We are split into different islands with different languages and dialects. That's why we have different versions. Okay, but what is important is not only we learn not only from books or readings, but from others as well. Because as you know, through generations, there has been the learning from elders. Okay, they don't learn anymore, and people don't value what has been taught to them. So it's not being carried over. So that's why we came up with different versions. So we have very confused versions of our cuisine. That's why other people are also confused.
Right, and yeah, I actually talk about a little bit about that on my tour. That Filipino cuisine is so varied across different regions, and also different households would have different versions. But I think that's also a characteristic that makes Filipino food quite unique. But as you mentioned, like it's very important. It's equally important to have a good understanding of why this is so we can represent it better.
Yeah, because when you say uniqueness, it becomes more of a specialty. It becomes more of an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Parang mangyayari, it becomes like a once in a while kind of food.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want really mainstream, I don't want to say that it should be standardized, but at least there's a certain level clear, di ba? So that's why kapag confused na yung even kids, di ba? You don't want to think about what to eat, let's just drive through McDonald's. You'll never go wrong. You go to any country, if you're not sure about the food, go to McDonald's. Because at least you're comfortable, you know what you're getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you know what to expect, and you're sure that your expectations will be met. Because
like a tom yum is a tom yum, a pad thai is a pad thai, right?
Yeah,
but our sinigang comes in different levels of sourness,
Right, like reading up about that, I think the Thai government, for example, actually created a standardized recipe book which they promoted to all Thai restaurants in the world because they see it as you know, a way to create more soft power for the Thai government. So it's like gastro diplomacy. Oh yeah, well that one, yeah, that's the quote unquote Bible for Filipino
Yeah.
dishes.
Thanks to Sonia. Yeah, by
Oh,
Nicole. Yeah, Gonzaga. And so that's what we are doing now. We are also, recommending.
yeah, no, that's great. That's a great
Is
book.
one of the newest. Yeah. So is the kainan na. So and those are the one of the mediums. And of course, now we recently we work with Saitam, with
Oh
Food
wow.
Philippines. So we because I noticed before when it comes to exhibitions, if you notice, it's only like each exporter just do their own food tasting.
Right. Yeah.
But if you go to Singapore and Thailand, wow, they have a centralized. Even Japan would have a central kitchen with a Wagyu promotion, promoting different producers. You know, so at least in Sial in Abu Dhabi, we were commissioned by Saitam to uh, to do the food tasting
Yeah.
by professional chefs. So what we did is we used the ingredients of the exporters so they can focus on selling, but right in front we combined the chocolates of Auro, the condiments of Mamacita, the mushroom chicharron, and other good sense calamansi extract. So you know it's very nice, and and then we presented it in such a way that both you have the savory line and the sweet line in just like canapes. So it becomes more palatable, and people appreciate it. They started talking to the exporters and buying,
Okay.
ordering their products.
That's amazing. Well, we've run out of time, but thank you so much, Jovi. It has been such a pleasure and such a learning, learning moment for me having this conversation with you. I'm so excited to keep track of, you know, the progress of Phil Food into the future. I'm very excited to also hear back from you, you know, on ways that we can collaborate.
Oh
Um,
yes, I would love to learn also from your blogs. I'm
yeah,
also learning a lot from Filipino Food Movement, and let's continue this. It's a, I should say, it's a lifelong mission.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the interview, the conversation as much as we did. And again, thank you so much to Pistahan for giving us this opportunity to curate the Culinary Pavilion of Pistahan this year. So thank you so much, everybody. Jovi, any last words before we sign off?
Oh, mabuhay ang pistahan, and to the audience in North America. And I really look forward to visiting you one day with our partners there. And I think you're doing great with really patronizing our own food and really talking more about it.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jovi. Bye-bye.